She was caring for a burnt baby in 1977. She wasn't expecting this 38 years later. In 1977, she was looking after a baby who had been burnt. In about 38 years later, she was not even dreaming that something like this would happen. During the year 1977, a nurse provided medical attention to a baby who had been burnt. Then, after 38 years had passed, an unexpected event took place in their lives. This woman is Amanda Scarpinati. Amanda Scarpinati, who had just turned 3 months old at the time, was involved in a terrible accident in the year 1977. As a young baby, she had rolled off the couch and into a steam vaporizer that was boiling hot. This heartbreaking accident resulted in her young body being severely burnt. What happened was that the mentholated cream melted and burned her and hurt her tissues. Immediately after the accident had happened, an ambulance was sent to transport her to the hospital. The fear that they all felt for her life was deep. The facility that was closest to her was Albany Medical Center, and it was there that she would meet the woman who would be a constant presence in her dreams for the rest of her life. On the other hand, she was not aware of that until later. She was only 3 months old at the time, so she was unaware of anything other than the fact that her body was in excruciating pain and that something had gone horribly wrong. Amanda was in need of medical attention because she had suffered burns of 3rd degree that covered her entire body, with the most severe injuries occurring on her head and arms. Amanda was required to remain in the hospital for a couple of weeks so that she could go through the process of being monitored and having her bandages carefully renewed every few days. When it came to ensuring the little infant was as comfortable as possible, the medical staff at the hospital did everything in their power to make that happen. Despite the fact that she was able to pull through and eventually be discharged from the hospital, the infection that she contracted was the most significant threat that she faced. On the other hand, this was only the beginning of a journey that would prove to be extremely challenging for little Amanda. Because of the burns, her young body was left with severe scarring and permanent damage, and she would have to learn to tolerate this condition from this point forward. During this time, her parents were informed by the hospital that they were in constant communication with their baby's caretakers. In the course of Amanda's treatments, photographs were taken of her and a nurse together. These photographs were subsequently chosen to be featured on the cover and pieces of the annual report that was produced by the Albany Medical Center. They received copies of the report, and when Amanda was old enough, they showed her the images and told her the story of how her body had become so damaged. As a result of Amanda's fascination with the photographs, she frequently viewed them. She envisioned herself as a tiny infant who was being held by a nurse who was holding her with affection while she was wrapped in bandages. She did not appear to be crying in any of the photographs, despite the fact that she must have been in a great deal of discomfort. It appeared as though she was making herself at home in the arms of this woman who remained nameless. She is a person, right? Amanda was frequently puzzled, but her parents were unable to provide her with any information that would help her understand the situation. On the other hand, she had a deep-seated desire to finally meet the lady whom she had been waiting for. This was one of the few things that brought her comfort during her difficult childhood. Because of the burns, she had to undergo a number of surgeries and treatments, and because of the scars on her body, made her appear different. She was frequently bullied at school. Amanda would spend a considerable amount of time by herself, mainly because of the fact that the other children would yell at her and steal her belongings. The photographs that brought her comfort was something that she would look at over and over again. She seems calm, even though the nurse is holding her and smiling at her. In her dreams, she would fantasize about the woman who appeared to care for her in such a genuine manner and who treated her with such kindness. The pictures would be treasured by her, and she would keep them close to her heart at all times. In her dreams, and while looking at the pictures, Amanda proceeded to talk to the woman, share her problems and concerns with her, and explain how she felt about the bullying that she had experienced, despite the fact that she had no idea what the woman's name was. Amanda, who had developed into a lovely young lady, was stubborn in her pursuit to find this nurse at some point in the future. She made a number of attempts to acquire additional information before she finally succeeded in doing so. However, the nurse's name was not mentioned in the annual report, and she pursued several investigations with the medical center but she was not provided with any information that could be of assistance to her. She was only able to find out that the photographs were taken by a photographer by the name of Carl Howard. However, the subjects of these photographs were not identified at the time. This was the only piece of information that she was able to uncover. It seemed as though no one was aware of the identity of the remarkable nurse who had been working in the recovery room of that hospital in the year 1977. Nevertheless, Amanda would have done anything to be able to meet her and express her gratitude to her for providing her with such loving care and tenderness at the time when she needed it the most. She would have been grateful for the opportunity to meet her. The fact that she had such a strong desire to meet this person was due to something that was going on inside of her. It is possible that the identity of the nurse has been buried deeper and deeper over the course of the years that have passed. That was certainly one possibility. It should come as no surprise that the technologies that are currently available globally have not remained unchanged. An associate who was aware of Amanda's desire to meet her mystery nurse encouraged her to make another attempt and to make use of social media this time. Amanda's friend was aware of her desire to meet her nurse. This took place in the year 2015. After some time, Amanda came to the realization that Facebook could very well be the tool that would enable her to achieve the goal that she had set for herself. She had reached the age of 38 at this point and was located in Athens, which is situated 25 miles south of Albany. In Athens, she worked as a manager on human resources of a government agency. Amanda carefully removed the photographs that held a significant amount of sentimental value for her, scanned them, and then uploaded them to Facebook. She took the time to write a post and asked people to share it widely. Amanda had high hopes that the post would be able to reach the appropriate individual on the internet, someone who might have any information about her or who might even be able to identify the woman portrayed in the photographs. Thanks to the power of social media, someone might know her. It would be lovely if I could find out her name and perhaps even have the opportunity to speak with her and meet her. She wrote next to it, "Be sure to share it with others because you never know who it might reach. You never know indeed." People from all over the world shared and liked the post, which caused it to go viral and receive a lot of likes and shares. The story was well received by a large number of individuals, and they had genuine expectations that Amanda would be able to find her nurse. Yet, it also struck a chord with most of them. After posting the information on her Facebook page, Amanda was able to find the lead that she had been looking for almost immediately after posting it. Angela Leary, a nurse at the medical center, identified the person in the photos. She messaged Amanda to let her know that the nurse's name was Susan Berger and that she was just as kind and compassionate as she looked in the photo. Despite knowing that Sue had moved, she was uncertain of her current location. Just the mention of her name was significant for Amanda to make contact with her enigmatic nurse, who suddenly became aware of her identity. It brought her tears of happiness. A search that had lasted for more than 30 years and 38 years after everything had taken place had finally resulted in the discovery of the identity of the woman, which had taken only 24 hours. If only she had considered this sooner. For her part, Amanda could not have been more content. Within a short period of time, she was able to acquire Sue Berger's phone number. This was easy now that she had her name. When the photographs were taken, Sue had just graduated from college and was 21 years old at the time. Sue's heart was undoubtedly moved by Amanda, who was one of her very first patients. In most cases, when infants emerge from surgical procedures, they are either sleeping or crying. But Amanda was so calm and trusting. It was incredible. However, it turned out that the experience that Sue had in the recovery room in 1977 had also left an impression that would last a lifetime. She was even in possession of copies of the photographs that Amanda had kept all these years and continued to cherish them throughout her life. Sue had always been curious about what had happened to little Amanda and whether or not she was okay. But the unexpected communication from her, which came 38 years after she had held her in her arms, was something that she had not anticipated a single bit. "I was just speechless," she explained to me, "and to think that someone would have thought about it all those years and just saved the photo as I did myself. When Sue received news from Amanda, she was still working as a medical professional, even though she had recently been promoted to the position of Executive Vice President of the Health Center at Casanova College in New York. Sue mentioned that it was so good to hear her voice and to have her explain emotionally where she was coming from during the first phone call that the two of them had together. It was inevitable that they would have to meet in person as well. This meeting, which had been in works for nearly 4 decades, was finally going to take place, and it was planned to take place at the Albany Medical Center, the same place where they had shared those memorable moments together all those years ago. The media would also be present. It is highly unlikely that they would be able to avoid covering such an emotionally moving story. Amanda was experiencing a great deal of anxiety in the days leading up to the event, and when she finally caught a glimpse of Sue, she was overcome with emotion and could not hold back her tears. "The emotion I felt, I wasn't prepared for when I saw her," she said. And after a long and heartful embrace between the two of them, Amanda said that it felt like she was hugging her mother. She shouted, "Oh my God, you're real!" And she felt so incredibly happy that she was able to thank Sue in person for the adoration and care that she had shown her when she was a young child. For such a long time, she had been anticipating this moment, and as she had been waiting for it, she had almost completely lost hope that it would actually take place. However, there it was. Her most keen desire had been granted, and she was now in a position to look at that incredibly loving nurse in the eyes and convey her gratitude to her. Furthermore, Sue was tremendously affected and thrilled to learn that Amanda had developed into a gorgeous young girl and that she was in wonderful health. She was also overjoyed to learn that Amanda was in good health. Sue stated in the interview that she is maybe even more eager about the reunion than Amanda is. "I don't know how many nurses would be lucky enough to have something like this happen, to have someone remember you all that time," she said in her response. "I feel privileged to be the one to represent all the nurses who cared for her over the years." If there is any scarring that is still present on Amanda's body, it is extremely difficult to notice at first glance, and she appears to be in impeccable condition. In the event that you look closely enough, you will notice that there is a striking similarity between the adorable young child who is wrapped in the white bandages and the stunning woman who is standing on stage next to her heroic nurse. In response to the question of whether or not this encounter would mark the beginning of a long-lasting friendship between the two, Amanda stated that it has already been a friendship that has lasted a lifetime. She simply did not know. What do you think about the story? Let us know in the comment section below.